Car dealers are getting so mad they can't sell their cars. So guess what? There could be a win for you and as well for me if you've been shopping for a new car or SUV. I have a list of some of the best deals you can find right now in February. We know 2024 is a great new year. We're in the middle of the season. Great new models have come out. And of course, there's still last year's inventory hanging around. Now, while there's a lot of vehicles that have clearly lots of inventory, lots of choices, there's others that have a lot less, but there's still some amazing deals out there hiding behind the smoke and mirrors. So let's get right to it. Some of best deals, because yes, they're getting desperate and customers can respond. Here's some great deals. The first SUV is the Hyundai Ioniq 5. We've heard about the battery situation costing $50,000, $60,000, but they do offer a great deal. $10,000 off of MSRP on a lease, and they are recommended as a better lease option. We know that once you get out of lease and warranty, then all gloves are off if you have an actual battery problem. So definitely it represents a great amount of technology, and of course in the emerging market of electric vehicles, if that's what you've been looking for, this might be a great choice. There's some great deals to be had. But if you don't necessarily want to lease and maybe you want to buy it 0.99% APR for up to about 48 months, it's on the 4x2 standard range vehicles. If you get to them now, you can also potentially get a $7,500 bonus deal. And if they also find out that you're coming from another competitor, they might even give you an additional $2,500 off. But you have to check at each dealer, because we also heard about the Ioniq 5 and with the batteries, and a lot of those quotes came from independent dealers and not Hyundai itself. But as a matter of fact, each dealer may have their own specials for you. And probably one of the biggest discounts right now is the Hyundai Nexo. Of course, we know that's a hydrogen powered unit, and specifically it's regional only, restricted to California, but you can literally get 0% financing and $33,000 down. Now, we know that these struggles are real. Hydrogen, they're starting to wrap that up. You may be limited with one of your access for hydrogen fueling. We know Toyota's taken a step back and they're looking at other technologies because hydrogen doesn't seem to be the answer. So as a result, they're almost giving these vehicles away. If you want to get one and you want to drive around in California and you just want to own it for a short while just to experience it, they offer a phenomenal deal at Hyundai. And another great deal, restricted almost to California as well. BMW, another brand that rarely actually, it's almost like Apple. They rarely give you the deals, but on the iX, that's right, they're pure EV, they're offering up to $9,900 off on a lease or about $2,000 on a finance or a purchase. Great deal if you've been looking for the vehicle and you've been waiting. That might be your opportunity to get into one of the German manufactured electric vehicles. Another smoking deal is BMW's XM. We know rarely do you get great deals on M versions, but the XM is their big, overwhelming SUV. M-Power, lots of performance, $9,900 on both lease or financing purchase off the MSRP price tag. Now, of course, that represents a great deal, but remember, those SUVs are substantially priced as well. They're not cheap, they're not inexpensive, but there is a significant discount there. Now, think California. Yes, that market is a tough one. We know as a whole, the state is struggling a little bit, and so there's this extra push in California to get some incentives or incentivize some of these BMWs. Might be an option, again, if you've been looking for the biggest, baddest BMW SUV you can get. Ford is also stepping up to the game in their SUVs. The Ford Mustang Mach-E. We know SUVs have been a struggle, of course. Ford specifically in their electrified market. The Lightning is taking a slash. Of course, we know Ford's knocked their production and their output by half, 50%, because they are not selling. Neither is the Ford Mustang, and because the Mustang Mach-E is now also electric vehicles, well, it's always been electric vehicles, but the fact remains is they're not even selling the 23 model year, so the 2023s are where you're starting to see some huge incentive opportunities if you want to get into that space. On a lease, you can get up to $8,500 off on the MSRP. And some buyers can actually get 0% for 72 months. Huge incentives if that's a vehicle you've been looking for. There might even be an additional $3,000 off for specific buyers of the GT models. And then one, of course, by Stellantis. We know they've been way grossly overpriced on a lot of their vehicles. They're starting to come down to sensors. Absolutely, Jeep Wrangler 4xe. Obviously, it does absolutely qualify for some incentives. Of course, you can actually get a $7,500 federal tax credit, plus an additional another $3,500 in national lease bonus cash, and a little $1,000 extra by Chrysler capital bonus cash. And some of this bonus cash does come exclusive to certain trim models, but you can actually get $12,000 lease support off of one of these 4xe Jeep Wranglers. Now we know Wranglers have been hugely priced in the last year, a couple of years, actually in the last 2 years for sure they've been escalating, but you do get most of your money back on the used car market because they're one of the highest retaining value vehicles regardless of any type of make or model. Then there's a 2023 Jeep Renegade, another little SUV by Jeep, not their highest quality piece, certainly a price point vehicle, and they're trying to get rid of and unload, and they're struggling to get rid of some of these 2023 model year vehicles. You can easily get 10% off of a brand new Renegade if you've been looking for one of those. They're also offered at 1.9% APR for about 36 months, meaning they do represent great value. Again, if you have to have one. And then again, another one from the Stellantis group, and we see a common theme here. The Dodge Durango GT, of course, rear-wheel drive configuration, up to 10% off for 2023 model years. Represents great value. Now, for those living in the north where you need four-wheel drive, not your best bet, but certainly those folks in the southern states, California offers a great option for a full-size SUV. Now, would you believe even Lexus shows up for this party with the RZ? Now, we know Lexus is typically well known for their naturally aspirated engines, internal combustion engines, of course, a lot of hybrid technology, but now they actually have a full EV, but it's not quite catching on, so they're definitely trying to motivate buyers. Now, if I know Lexus, like you know Lexus, then we know that we trust that they're going to make a vehicle that's reliable and long-lasting, but this brings them into another space of the market. As a result, people just aren't totally bought in yet, and you can get some great deals. For example, a 2023 Lexus RZ 450e gives you about $20,350 off MSRP on a lease. And that's up to about 36 months for the Colorado EV tax credit tied into that. Now again, that's specifically Colorado. Other parts of the country might see about a $15,000 discount off MSRP for an RZ. And who knows how long this is going to stick around for these 23 model years, but you might as well think about get while the getting's good, because this might be your opportunity if you've been shopping for a Lexus RZ EV. Now we can't forget about cars because I have a list of those too. Now the Audi e-tron GT also offers up some significant discounts for the buyer. If you've been looking for those spanky, high performance electric vehicles by one of the premium brands, this might be your bet. They're offering up to $25,000 in either a lease or finance buy option. That definitely represents one of the biggest wins for you as a customer looking for an Audi product. This offer is a national customer credit, which actually is available to all buyers. So maybe you don't have the full beans to buy the RS version, you want to get the standard GT, you can get as much as $17,500 off the price of that vehicle. Clearly Audi is very motivated to move their electric vehicles down the road. Then Volvo also has the S90 Recharge, which offers up some great features and options too for you as the consumer. $15,000 lease cash on these vehicles. So currently this is only offered to more or less the western side of the United States and only applies to leases. No finance options of that level of aggression. So Volvo's making the lease payments at about $765 a month for 36 months, with about $3,300 at time for signing, which when totaled up is $857 a month when spread out, which is not inexpensive per se, but it's a lot of vehicle, a lot of bang for your buck, and very prestigious. And then Audi has the big executive wagon called the A8. You can get as much as $15,000 off on a lease special off the base price of the MSRP, representing a great deal. Clearly some of these manufacturers are getting hungry, they're getting desperate, and they're willing to negotiate. Now BMW's 2024 i7 represents another great deal for those shopping. Now in California you can knock as much as $12,900 off a base MSRP, but in other parts of the country to about $9,900 available off the base price for a lease option. With that said, eligible customers can possibly see another $3,000 off in total savings. So like we said, BMW is not typically one of those brands that's offering up all kinds of discounts, but really it's painting the picture. A lot of their hard to sell premium vehicles and special electric vehicles are becoming those vehicles their base and core enthusiasts just really don't want a part to do with. So it does in fact offer up a lot of great potential buying options for people actually interested in getting into the brand. Now Stellantis has another one, the Dodge Charger GT rear-wheel drive version. Gets you up to $2,000 off and as well potentially 90 days no payment. So it's good for those looking to try to build up their bank accounts a little bit to start handling those payments. Now unfortunately Chrysler isn't necessarily doubling down and offering the 0% 72 months with that $2,000 off, so you have to decide for yourself which is the better deal, this way or that way. Either way, it's not necessarily the best product, but if you've been looking for one of those Chargers, that might be your time to buy. The same thing goes for the Dodge Challenger SXT, also $2,000 off, or the 0% and 72 months, depending which one's your flavor. You can also get the same car in that Challenger 2-door or the Charger for the 4-door. And then we have another product by Stellantis, the Chrysler 300, also potentially offers you about $2,000 off. So clearly there's a lot of deals. There's some common themes here. Stellantis, they're trying to pitch all their products, trying to motivate customers, obviously, with some of these incentives. Although you could probably ask yourself, from what I can see, $2,000 off is hardly enough to justify buying that vehicle. But that's just some choices if you've been in the market anyhow. And of course, there's some trucks available too. The Ram 1500 Classic, you can get as much as 15% below MSRP, so it's $50,000 Canadian. Yeah, you might get a bit of a discount. I mean, you might be talking about significant savings. Could be some options there for you if you've been looking for an entry-level pickup truck. Or if you want to step up your game and buy one of the larger, heavier duty trucks, 2500, 3500 Ram, you can get those as much as 10% off of MSRP as well. They're clearly offering up some incentives, and they're scrambling. They're nervous. People haven't been buying as many, and their lots are full, which we've been talking about for a while now. As well, the Jeep Gladiator is knocked down 15% off sticker. And of course, the Chrysler Pacifica. What would a list be like this if we didn't round it off with a minivan or the closest thing to it? Up to $10,500 lease support on these vehicles if you've been looking for a new family hauler. Remember, we're not talking about quality or recommended vehicles. We are talking about some of the best deals. If you've been looking for these in the first place, I mean, your money should still go where the vehicle you want. I've never been a believer of just because it's cheaper that's the vehicle you buy. Shop for what you want. If it happens to fall on this list, then it's a double win. But don't go out of your way to buy a vehicle you never really wanted in the first place, because you'll just end up with a lemon and you won't be very satisfied for the long term. But with all of that said right there, the car market, in fact, is still challenging. If you'd be lucky enough to be able to afford one of these vehicles, great on you. But the car market is struggling, and people are choosing to even simplify and even take the bus or ride their bikes. Definitely want to check that out. Talks all about it. Hope to see each and every one of you on the next one. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.